Hi, folks. You are watching and listening to Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media on all of our channels and networks. I'm Mike Morales here in the heartbeat of the San Gabriel Valley in Southern California. That guy out there is
Rick Levy at the end of the San Pasqual Valley, also in Southern California.
Rick and I have been traversing the trail of El Baston del Rey. That again roughly translates to the King's Scepter. This is the extra Anejo. How are they going to top themselves? We don't know. We've run through the entire line. I would recommend that you folks go watch the silver review because we go through the whole process, why it's different. And each one of these expressions has been a different animal. Yeah. Every one of these. Up until now, we've been able to discern and actually pull out qualities of the agave that you don't normally get in other añejos, extra añejos, or aged versions. And there's a reason for that. Again, go watch the Blanco review to get a full explanation of why that is. But we're just going to pour it as usual. I'm going to pour the juice, taste it. I'm going to get it all over me.
Hey, Mike, does this bottle look familiar?
Yeah. Don't you have another one that's like this that causes a problem like that?
Several.
Okay. Yeah, I popped that baby open and it just spilled on my shorts, which is okay. As long as it's not on my keyboard, I'm okay with that. I'm gonna pour it. And
I've been there.
Wow! Holy cow! Too much.
Ooh, boy,
yeah,
that jumps right out
quickly. Wow! Red highlights. Look how brassy that is.
Yeah.
So, Rick, to your point,
on
camera, Rick asked me, okay, so this is in French oak. Does that mean used wine barrels? Judging from what I've seen right here, yeah. Because the other tequila that we got that was specifically in wine barrels was Juan de Leon. All of his expressions were wine barrels, and I've had a couple of other ones, not with Rick, but with within one of our other tasters, and they use exclusively Napa Valley wine barrels. So this one's got brassy highlights. I mean, it like
what we know about the barrels is they're saying French oak.
Yeah. Each one of these expressions has had its own characteristics and flavor profile, and this one looks to be the same idea. I'm looking, there we go. I'm looking to see my legs in tears. Nice. It's a beautiful to look at, Rick. That's a gorgeous color.
Yeah. And as we've been going through this, it's like the Reposado comes across as an Anejo. The Anejo comes across as an Ixay. What are we going to have here, Mike?
Your guess is as good as mine right now. I don't know.
And the Anejo, it was like this stealth Anejo because the nose we had did not belie what we got on the intake.
Yeah. Although as I let my pour open up toward the end of our review, I finally was getting the flavor notes.
It came back around.
Well, I came back around. So what we know about this tequila so far is that it doesn't reveal itself right away to you. So you're going to have to spend time with it. Okay. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's not for shooting. Don't expect to get all these notes right away. You got to really let it open up and talk to you. It reveals itself to you in layers. Okay, there's a lot more alcohol I'm getting on the nose on this one.
Yeah.
And all of these have been sealed on my living room floor. So we just broke the seal off of these before we came online. And yeah, I'm getting lots more alcohol on this one. And I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. I actually poured, for some reason I poured way too much. Did it just jump out of the bottle
Yeah, it jumped out of the bottle.
yeah, it was not, it was weird. It was like I couldn't control the amount that I wanted to get out of it. Oh, wow. I got some dried cherry right in the center. I mean,
Yeah.
dry, like cherry, like desiccated raisin.
Yeah, I am getting the dried fruit on the nose this time.
Wow. Oh my God. That's some deep notes, man.
This is going to be rich.
Wow.
I'm wondering if this is going to be like, am I going to get flashbacks to like the 5-year Dulce Vida XA?
Ooh. Oh, and I have a sealed bottle of those. Yeah, that was barrel strength though. That's a barrel strength. That baby was hot and heavy like a wild turkey. That
It was
delicious.
big.
I loved it. Like I said, I still have a sealed bottle of it in storage.
Yeah, so the nose is kind of like is it's kind of like the Reposado where we're getting like that tobacco and leather, but then underneath that, the
You mean
dried
the
fruit is really
anejo?
coming up through.
The anejo had the
Yeah, the añejo.
yeah. No, that reposado was a whole different animal because it was aged in Canadian
Yeah.
barrels. That was a
Yeah.
whole different thing.
No, I misspoke. Yeah, we're recording these in order consecutively, and
We're still
it's taking
enamored with
its
our
toll.
okay. I'm getting the dried fruit, but I'm also getting I'm getting plum. Maybe from plum to prune, it's kind of like evolving. It goes from fresh
Right.
to a dried fruit. And that could be if this is, and it looks, from what I'm looking at right now, it looks like there's some grape, I'm getting probably some grape
Right.
residual.
Could be the wine.
Could be the wine. I would imagine, and Rick and I went through the entire line of Juan de Leon, which is exclusively wine barrels, and each one finished drier than the last. So I expect this to finish dry, not sweet. Some of the sweeter French oaks are virgin French oak,
Yeah.
with the red highlights on this one. You're right. It could be the French oak wine barrels. Because I am getting something, if I'm getting stone fruit, or if I'm getting fresh fruit to dry fruit, that tells me there's probably grape residual in this. Because the grapes, you can, if it was exclusively Napa Valley wine barrels, then you get that characteristic in the tequila. Is it opening up for you? Is it still shy at this point for you?
I'm not sure how to characterize it.
There's no super sweetness in this. It's
right.
It's almost like astringent, but that's okay too. I mean, it's wine astringency. The nose isn't cloying or anything like that, so it's not coming up to me. It's not what I'm familiar with the French oak. Some tequilas that are aged in virgin French oak are completely different. There's a lot of cocoa. There's a lot of chocolate and bitter chocolate.
Yeah, we're not getting that chocolate.
We're not getting that. I'm getting more grape and more fruitiness.
Yeah, it's a wine barrel.
it leans from fresh fruit to dry. The Anejo was dry. That was dried fruit we got on the Anejo. Now you want to dive in and see what we're getting?
Let's go.
Here we go.
Mm.
Yep, wine barrel.
Yeah, it's got the getting some sweetness from the.
I got a lot of hot cinnamon. The cinnamon spice was there right on the palate, right in the middle of the tongue. It's sweet on the intake, dry on the finish. Retronasal was all wine barrel. This reminds me of Juan de Leon. It reminds me of I had with Jason and myself, we had the Adam Levine's newest tequila. And I forget what the name of it is. It's aged exclusively in Napa Valley wine barrels, and they tell you specifically which wine barrels they are. And that reminds me of this, and it looks like this too. It's got that kind of red highlight look to it. They even put it in like a wine bottle. I can't remember the name of it. Offhand, I can't remember the name of it, but it's very similar. Here's what I'm not getting, unless you're getting it. I'm not sensing any agave yet, because the whole line has been very agave forward. It's like adding an extra layer of the agave. If you don't understand why the agave is coming through like that, go check out the Silver Review. We explain how what the process is and why.
Well,
why?
Yeah. So this is 4 years in a French oak wine barrel. It's not surprising that the agave would be harder to find. There's still a lot of structure to it that comes from the silver.
Maybe on the retronasal I get a hint of it, but 4 years in a wine barrel, but it's still not cloying. Nice dry finish.
Yeah.
Damn.
On the intake, though, it is the sweetest of the batch, right?
I think so. Even more so than the Anejo or the Canadian, because I thought the Canadian would be sweeter than it really was. Again, the aroma we were getting was a bit different in the intake. The Anejo finally came full circle, and as I let the same sample just, as I went through the same sample, I finally got tobacco and finally got that bitter chocolate that I was sensing on the nose, because I didn't get it on the intake. But this one's not kidding you though. This one is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's good. Wow, man. I don't know, Rick. I don't even want to cook with these. The reason I say I don't want to cook with them is because
you're not going to cook with this one at this price point.
Yeah. What's the price point? First of all, what's it going to cost me?
So this one on the brand's website goes for $225.
Yikes.
$224.95.
But you're not paying for a fancy bottle. You are paying for fancy tequila, because it is fancy.
Yeah.
You don't understand why. We highly recommend you go watch the Silver Review. We took a little bit longer because we had to explain what the process was. This is a much more labor-intensive tequila than what you're used to getting, even out of Puerta de Hierro, out of the Hermosillo family, because this is a completely different animal. This was brought to our attention by the book, The Tequila Diet, that Lisa Peach, our managing partner, made us aware of. And when I did some checking, I said, yeah, they're doing it with this tequila. How do I get the juice? And one thing led to another. We got not only get the cookbook, but we got the juice as well. And each one of these recipes in here calls for a dash of one or the other of these varietals, these expressions. I mean, look at that. Look at that recipe. Is that barbacoa? There you go. Now I'm reading these recipes and I'm thinking to myself, I could do this. And I'm not a chef. I'm not a cook. But Chef Dave Martin was nice enough to make these available to us. And then Baston del Rey is the tequila that he's affiliated with. You know, they have a Puerco Pibil recipe here. Oh my God. Oh, look. Hatch green chili truffles. For those of my pals in New Mexico, Hatch green chili truffles. Oh, I'm gonna, it's enough to make me want to learn to cook. But at $200 a pop, I don't know if I'd want to use that extra añejo for anything except, maybe after dinner.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would even use the añejo in a recipe. And that was pricey. What was it, 99 or something? 95.
95.
That's my glass ceiling. After 95, you're not going to see me pour anything into my dish,
Yeah.
except in a glass.
For some reason, though, I'm now having this craving for like shredded pork with just a splash of this on top.
Oh my goodness. And Rick, none of these are cloying. None of these are super sweet. Some of the tequilas like Cava de Oro that comes out of there is known for its sweetness. I mean, this is not.
Yeah. No, it's not cloying sweet, but I got to tell you, in terms of sweetness, this is on the upper end of my spectrum.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but it's not the funny thing is when I say cloying, it's to the point where even after you swallow it, the residue of the added glycerin or whatever it is that they're using sticks with you on your palate, and it gets in the way. It influences whatever you're having at the time. This one doesn't do that. This one stays on your palate.
Yeah.
But it grows and it dissipates naturally. It's not what we're used to in a cloyingly sweet tequila, like a Clase Azul, for instance, or even even a Cava de Oro will just stay with you and stay with you and stay with you.
Right.
And this is finishing dry too. This is definitely. I'd like to know what kind of wine it held, because I don't. I'm not a big wine guy, so. Like you said, that 5-year Dulce Vida was Napa Valley wine barrels, and it's at barrel strength at 100 proof. And that thing was not only dry, but it wasn't sweet either. It was hot and dry and very much in your face and delicious. Don't get me wrong, that's a delicious tequila. This one isn't as aggressive for sure. And really lovely to nose. I love, again, folks, spend some time with it. Let it open up for you, because it's not gonna reveal itself to you right away. It just won't. None of these will. And would you say again, Rick, this was a different market they were going after? A whole different effect?
Oh yeah, this is a completely different animal from the other expressions.
Perhaps on the retronasal, I sense a little bit of the plant, but if you want more plant, I'd say stick to the Blanco and the Repo and maybe the Anejo at some point. But see the extra.
Well, if you're sticking something in wood for 4 years, you're going for the wood.
Well, yeah, you're an oak head, but maybe you're a wine guy too, and
yeah, this
doesn't disappoint. They're doing a lot of spectacular and very exciting things with tequila in wine barrels. I know that Juan de Leon is actually will start batching virgin wine barrels from Napa. That'll be his next thing, from the only Mexican master cooper in California, probably in the United States. So that's going to be a very special line, because the toast and everything else is exclusively for the tequila. It will not have housed wine prior. So this is going to be a virgin barrel expression.
Wow.
So I can only imagine what that's going to be like. I love this. I think it's a great aperitif or digestif after dinner. I think it'd be great paired with dessert, probably a good tiramisu. I would stick with flan for the anejo if y'all were you, but the anejo has those good tobacco qualities, so I think it's a great cigar pairing tequila. I'm not too sure about this one. I'm not sure if I could actually pair it with a cigar. Maybe I could. Maybe you could. I'm
not a cigar guy.
No, but I mean the audience, people watching who are cigar people. I know you're not.
That's right. There's other people out there. It's not just you and me.
That's not just you. But you did say that
we're not just doing this for ourselves. This isn't just an intimate tasting between you and me, Mike.
Even though it looks like it's just us, we know that you're watching. Okay. In fact, if you're watching us on Instagram or YouTube, leave us a comment. Tell us what you're doing with it. Tell us what you're paying for it. Tell us if you've cooked with it. Like if you have the cookbook, tell us what you've actually accomplished. You can, I'm sure you could make cocktails with this. I don't know if I would at 220 some odd bucks a bottle.
No. I think the market for this is probably like the same market as the folks who, go and pick up like the 9, 10, 12, 15 year XAs.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Again, don't be put off by the bottle, folks. This is one of those.
It still has the pressed tin label.
Yeah, you've got, it's trying to tell you this is an old school tequila. It starts with old school Blanco. It's so old that even I haven't had it, and I'm probably older than dirt. I've had some really great old school tequilas that I can recall, and that are now, we were just talking off camera, or no, actually on the Blanco review, I said, these bottles are like the old Espolón bottles that came in the foil that now are collector's pieces. I used to drink this stuff when I lived in New Mexico because it was $20 cheaper than the Corazon, which was coming out of the same distillery as Espolón. And
I think David Reyes is using this bottle.
Yeah, everybody's using that bottle because it's a stock bottle. And so is this. But you're not paying for the bottle. Okay. If you're looking for a pretty bottle, you're not going to get it. If you're looking for great juice, you will find it in this bottle. Okay.
Yeah, it's a standout.
It's a standout. El Baston del Rey. Again, if you folks have had it, tell us what you think of it. Tell us what you're paying for it. Tell us where you're getting it. But yeah, don't sleep on this one. This is definitely a special, very special brand. Again, if I haven't said it before, brand of promise nominee in that XA category. We're going to have to actually give it its own separate category because it's just so, even John Miller, when he said he became involved in the brand 8 years ago. So where has this brand been? If you folks are watching us or listening to us on the podcast, if you've had it 8, 7 years ago, even 5 years ago, how did you come across it? Until the cookbook, I didn't even know it existed. And so, and then when it found out that they were using the Leticia Hermosillo distillery, it's like, oh well, maybe they're, maybe it's within that line of tequila. It's not. Whole other. It's like Texas. It's a whole other country. Anything else you want to say, Rick? Because I can go on and on for this. This is spectacular. It really is.
Yeah. No, it's a standout. There's a lot going on there, and I'm really turned on by their production process. Again, go back, watch that silver show. They're doing some really neat stuff that I think carries through the line.
Yeah, I would.
And then, you know, the different barrels for each expression, for the aged expression, you know, that's so much fun too.
Yeah, yeah, because it's all you know, if you're looking for a natural progression, you're not going to find it here. Okay. And again, if you haven't had a mezcal or raicilla, or even the line from Curado tequila, which is coming out of the Tequila Ocho distillery, get those first and then go back to this Blanco. And then it will make sense to you. Then you know what you're having, and you won't make assumptions that aren't true, that aren't
right.
Because
it takes a broader reference.
Yeah, you need a wider form of reference, or a higher bar, or at least a different bar. Because up until this point, when Rick, and you'll see when you watch the Silver Review, Rick and I, the only thing that saved us was that we've had mezcals together on several occasions on our reviews. I've had raicillas, and I had curado, so I had some kind of compass to go by. Okay, I had a little bit of a GPS, so that, and it made more sense to me from the information that we got from the importer, from John Miller.
Yeah. So many thanks to John for giving us that insight into the process.
Thank you very much. Cheers to the importer. Folks, really make an effort to get this. This belongs in your library. I said that with Curado. It's a great thing to have in your library, to show people not only is a great sipping tequila, but it's a great tool. Okay, this is one of those where it has a dual purpose. It's a great tool, especially the silver, but it shows you what can be possible when you innovate in an old school way. Who knew? I didn't know.
Right.
You know, so amazing stuff. I'm just going to put this down. I'm going to sign us off. Rick, thank you. This has been a treat. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching and listening to
this. Has been something else.
Yeah, he's going to hoard. I got to hide this from me is what I got to do. You've been watching and listening to Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media, all of our channels and networks. You have been watching us dissect El Baston del Rey Extra Anejo. If you've had it, tell us what you think about it. You know, leave us a comment down below if you're watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, share. Don't forget to share it. Hit the notification bell. Give us a like because it does help with the algorithm. You can follow us on all of our social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We're everywhere. And whatever you do, tomar sabiamente.
Sip wisely.